Right, it's day 5. And now we are looking at our list. We're going to invite our mind in. So I have this thing that I often talk about. Does it feel good? Does it make sense? And that's how I cycle through that repeatedly. So what we were doing with our inner yes, does it feel good? Like a yes should feel good. A no probably doesn't feel good. And it may not feel bad, but it might feel urgent, or it might feel ick, or it might feel eh, like nothing. And so we're starting off with the ones that feel good. And so I've got my list here, which hopefully you have your list here on day 5. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to rank them. That's the instructions, is to go through and rank them. And you have a whole column over here for step 5. And we're going to rank them 1 through 10, where 10 is like, hell yes. And 1 is like, F no. I don't normally swear, but, well, I do. I do swear a lot in real life, but when I record, I generally don't. So that was just a little slip. Here I am, being real me, right? I don't know why I don't swear. That's a topic for another time. I'm not going to get myself off onto a tangent here. But so I've got I had 15. You may not have 15. You don't have to have all 15. It's however many that you have. And just as a reminder that we went back to the very beginning here, is we were just writing things about that we might want to talk about. It doesn't matter if you end up with 0 on here. It doesn't matter if you end up with 1 or 2, or if all of them work. This is a huge part of what we're doing in this. The big thing is to start recognizing your inner yes, no. That is the value of what you're getting here. We are just using the context of coming up with topics that you can incorporate into whatever you write, just as something. So, just as a way to exercise this, to do this, to have something at the end of it, but it's not the value. So I want to be clear what the value is. It's understanding your yes and no. So anyway, I'm going to go through each of these, and actually I'm not going through each of them. I'm only going through the yeses. And for me, I'm only going through the yeses that I got from yesterday, because the first day, it was the second day day 2, the first time that we ranked them, yes, no, maybe. It was the first time. Every time we were looking at these, we're closer to who we are right now. So I'm not going to look at any of the no's, and I'm not going to look at any of the maybes. I'm only going to look at the yeses. So as an example here, this very first one, first day on day 2, when we ranked them, first day we ranked them, which is day 2. Excuse me. I just breathed in air weird. I put it as a no, because that was my purple marks. Then day 3, we just did it just noticing, not anything more than that. We weren't recording. I mean, maybe you did, but I didn't record anything. I just noticed. And then yesterday, which was day 4, we came back and we did the yes, no for every single one of them. And that's where I have this kind of peachy, orangey color, those marks. These are the ones that I'm going to look at. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yeses. And when I did it, interesting, I didn't even realize this until right now. I guess when I did it, I didn't have anything that I felt like maybe yes, maybe no. They were definitive. They were either yes, no, or maybe. With the very first day, I had 1, 2, 3 things that I put yes and maybe on. So interesting. So it kind of, over that course of really tuning into what do these say to me, I'm getting more clarity as I go along, because I'm getting clarity from my body, what resonates with me in my body. And I probably should also mention that we're talking about when we're talking about resonate inside, we're talking about that area of, whether you want to call it emotional safety, emotional clarity, or it's something within the bounds of you that you have trust in, that you might have some level of confidence in. And it doesn't mean that they all make sense to put into your business, but they could. It just means that you have some kind of really interconnection with it. And that's why you're getting that yes. So, and the no's at a future date might be a yes. Some of them, when I'm looking at this list and I'm thinking of some of the no's, like Left handwriting reveals ideas. That's something that I put no both times that I rank these. And it's kind of surprising to me because I've been thinking about that. That's something a year ago I talked a lot about. And it's a trick that I learned a long time ago because I cut the end of my thumb off and I couldn't use my right hand. I'm a right-handed person. And all the things that came out of that month or actually it was close to 6 weeks, that I could not write with my right hand and writing everything with my left hand, what it opened up for me. And then I have since used it as a technique and I've shared it with other people. They have the exact same results and everything. Anybody who does it, it's actually known that how when you do something with your non-dominant, whichever, whether it's your eye, your hand, your foot, or whatever, that you slow your thinking down and you can see more of what you're thinking and those thoughts that kind of blip by and you didn't know that they existed. Because sometimes we think we only have like negative thoughts or we only have positive thoughts, but it slows it down enough that you start to see, oh no, like there might have been negative, but there's this tiny little positive one here. And I didn't know it existed. So anyway, I was kind of surprised because logically in my mind, I've actually had this on my mind and it makes sense for me to do it. I was like, oh, how could I work that in? But clearly it's not something that is in tune with me right now, where I am in the now. And this is the only place that you can make real changes. Something that worked in the past doesn't mean it works now. Something in the past used to predict the future, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Doesn't mean it will now. And the future hasn't happened. I'm really interested in what I can do today, right now, that's going to, not to predict what my future could be, but that's in tune with what I want. So I have been talking long enough about this. I get super passionate about this stuff. I love working with people and I love sharing these kinds of ideas. It's helped so many people when you start showing them this other way and this internal system of themselves. And I'm going to move on. Let's do the assignment. Okay. So my first yes is experience emotions. So I'm ranking 1 to 10. 10, heck yeah. A 0 or 1? No way. Okay. So experience emotions without words. It feels more like a 6. My inner yes starts with picking up a pen. That is a 9.5. You can add points in there if you want. I hate to say anything is like a full on 10, but it's pretty darn near close. Maybe it's a 9.9. I'm going to change that. It's a 9.9. I don't know if it's a 10, but it's up there. Okay, next one. Coffee tastes better, richer in a white cup. I feel like it's an 8. I'm just making these up. You're in charge of your own rating system. You get to choose what it is. There's no universal anything in this. It's just you decide what your rating system is, and that's what you use. I won't sell in the DMs. Oh, you know what? That's something I really believe, but I'm going to put it as a 7. I'm really passionate about that, but it's not like, ooh, I can't wait to talk about it sort of thing. How to ignite the neural network with just one word. I think it's like an 8. I like that one. So I'm kind of using both like my inner self, but I'm also intellectualizing. Like, does that make sense for me to do it? You know, and if I was going to put importance down, that's why I like selling in the DMs. It's important to me, and it's definitely a non-negotiable for me. Like, it's something I refuse to do, but it also is like not the top of my mind, the most important thing for me to share. So that's why I gave it a 7. I'm very passionate about it, but I'm not feeling like, yeah, let's jump on that. Why I smile every day while wiping toothpaste out of the sink. I don't know. That one's kind of funny. So I'm going to put an 8. I feel like I can do something with that. Like, that has 0 to do with anything that I teach, but it does. It has everything to do with whatever I offer people I work with or programs that I do. It does. It has everything to do with it. I once had a coach that said everything is about cleaning the toilet. And I totally agree with it. Everything is about cleaning the toilet. And it just really stuck with me. And so sometimes you have these phrases, these things, these examples we can all latch onto. And I feel like that's one of them. Like, I can't be the only person who's constantly cleaning toothpaste spit out of the sink. I've had 2 pigeons fly into my head. Well, that's just funny. But I'm going to give it a 7 because I don't feel 7's the first number that popped into my mind. It's very funny, but I don't know if other people would think it's funny. And so strategically, I'm like, it might be something, but it's not like I don't get as giggly about it as the toothpaste, I guess. And then the yarn. And let's see, I have blank cubic feet of yarn, which is less than before. And gosh, I feel it's like a 5 or a 4. I'm going to do a 4.5. That way I can use both numbers. Let's see. And that's my last yes. So there you go. That's what I have. Now, the next step is with our mind. We're still using our mind. We're going through. Let's do a priority list. So however many you have. Oh, wait a minute. First off, before we do that, anything under 7, move it to the maybe. So this yarn is now a maybe. And emotions without words is now a maybe. So you can see that those, because they had scores lower than a 7. Now, so that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 topics that are on here. And when you go to what's the next step, there's a couple ways you could look at it. You could look at it, well, my inner yes starts with picking a color to write with. Today's purple. Now, that had the highest number, so I could think of it that way. But I could also think about what's the easiest one to incorporate. And I think it might be the yes, because I have this guide about how to find your inner yes and how to end up developing it. So it goes deeper than what we're doing here. But, and it approaches it in a kind of a different way. And I feel like this could be a lead into that, possibly. So it's something I could talk about. Or even if I'm talking about this right here, I could use this about my pen, the pen that I choose. And every day I picked a color based off of what my yes was. I looked at my pen colors and said, which one feels good to me? Feels good? Makes sense. Feels good first. So that literally could be it. But, you could also be thinking about what's the message that would resonate with your audience. Like if you're writing to, your ideal client, you have that avatar in your mind of who you're writing to. And I normally have a few specific people who come to mind. And it's not that I'm necessarily writing to them, but I'm writing to people who might experience what they have experienced. And so, if I was looking at that, I might make a different choice. So I also, because several people have come into my life and somehow we've all been talking about coffee. Now, I don't know that they are my ideal client, but that's coming up a lot for me. And sometimes I wonder, well, maybe that's a sign. I don't know if it is or not. So I'm thinking about that. And I'm seeing the coffee one and I think, oh, that might be a thing. But then as I play it back in my mind, because I just said this out loud, they're not my ideal client. That they're just people who I enjoy, who've come into my life, and we just happen to have been talking about coffee. Yeah, that's probably not the one, because I'm picking up residual energy from those conversations, but it might not be what is meant for my client. So the coffee is definitely not it. And so start making a list of, what would you pick would be, based off of ease or what you think is needed to be said, or what's just burning within you that you want to do. And so if I were going to make a ranking on here, I think the coffee one, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The coffee one is going to be number 6, even though it's rated an 8. The first one is going to be the pen color because I don't know. I just feel like that's the first place that I could start. And I'm obviously not going to tell people to pick their pen color, but I can use it as this is something I do every day. That I use my inner yes. I practice it by picking a pen color. It's something with low stakes. It doesn't feel risky. It feels safe. It's a way to practice. And so I think and this is why I always start with this. Same thing with the fonts. If I open up a document, first thing I do is what font do I want to use? And it's a way for me to tune into myself. That's all it is. Because literally, it doesn't matter what font you use, right? It doesn't matter what color you write with most of the time. Okay, so now I have these 4 other ones. I don't sell in the DMs. You know what? I think that's actually might be lower than the coffee. I'm going to switch that. So coffee might be number 5. DMs, number 6. I don't like DMs. So what do I want to talk about DMs? You know what? I just feel like maybe that's even like I'm moving that over to a maybe. It's going to become a maybe. I'm going to change that ranking to a 6 because it's just not my thing. It's on the cusp, right? 7 was the cutoff. It's the cusp. You can make up your own rules. Did you know that? Okay, now, how to ignite the neural network with one word. Why I smile when I wipe off toothpaste. Oh, I like that one. That feels like a fun one to incorporate into something. And 2 pigeons fly into my head. You know what? I think 7s just aren't going to cut it because that was a 7. I'm going to change that down to a 6, And so I think my number 1 is going to be picking a pen color. Then it's going to be the toothpaste. Then it's going to be the coffee. And then number 4 is going to be to use a single word. And actually, the first 3 that I picked that are the most fun, they're not going to actually be the meat of what I'm talking about, but they will illustrate what I want to talk about. And so that's another thing that I can get from this. The reason why I like picking the pen color, it talks about identifying your inner yes and practicing it. The reason why I like the smile every day while wiping off toothpaste is because there's, I did this experiment last fall about turning the lights off in my house and smiling when I did it and being happy that this is my job and I get to do this. How exciting is this that I get to take care of and follow around everybody turning up the lights, and now I get to follow around everybody wiping up their toothpaste bit. And it changes the dynamic of everything, but it changes me. Because that low grade ick that you get if you are annoyed really affects your full day. I've studied this and I've experimented with it. So I really like that as a thing because I think it's something that's gross and it'll grab people's attention and they'll be able to experience it. And then I can turn that into something powerful. And then the coffee tastes better because, you know what, dang it, I just like coffee. So it had to be up there. And then number 4 would be the one word with the neural network. And I think that is a message that I definitely am already starting to talk about. And I think that I might need to do a little bit more work on it in how I really want to present it, but I am talking a lot more about my writing. So soon, if not already, on YouTube. And yeah, so here we go. This is day 5. This is the last day. And if you've made it this far, hopefully you feel like you're getting to know your inner yes and no. And you know what you can do is you can go back and do this over and over. I've done it. I'm on my 4th week now of doing this. So I don't just make these, create something just to get some new people on my email list. This all came because it was something I had worked on, and then working with clients, working with others and helping them in what they kind of needed. And then I formulate it into, well, here's a solution. Here's something that somebody doesn't need me to be able to do it. And they can explore the concept. And so then I do it on repeat because I'm like, oh, well, if this is handy for other people, why don't I do it? And each time I get new insights about what I really want to talk about. And, we're always fine tuning our mission and our messaging. I feel like we're always iterating, right? Which that's actually a good thing because we're always changing, we're always growing. So is the landscape, the environment, the world, the communities, the platforms, everything is always evolving. So why not us too, right? So, anyway, if you're looking for a next step, one, cycle back through this, do another 5 days if you want. If you're ready for a different kind of next step to go a little bit deeper, then I would encourage you to check out Before You Post, which takes this to a whole new thing. Now we're starting to take these topics and we're actually going to start learning. Some of it will be kind of repeat, but it'll be in a whole new way. It's a 5-day course that has videos, it has text, it has exercises, and you get to turn stuff into me and I can give you feedback. So it's interactive if you choose to do that. And by the end of the 5 days, the goal is that you have a post that you feel really good about, that you feel connected with, that expresses from you. You'll learn a little bit about how to tune into your nervous system, a little bit about your human design, how to put it all together and to start crafting a story. And there's a framework in there that you can use on repeat. And anybody who posts it, I will be your first person to engage in it. I would very much love to be there to support you. So, because when people come into my world, I like to get to know them. I like to be around the people in my world. And so that is a very easy next step for you. And if you, and I'll put a link here somewhere in the description for you. The other things, there's other options if you're interested in doing something that's a little bit different, that if you're curious about human design, then I have a product that's new that I'm just sending out that is because I just got certified and I am now able to offer it to other people. It's something that had changed my writing. And the month of July in 2025, I'm going to be sharing it a lot more on both LinkedIn as well as YouTube. That it's this way of understanding the lens, the angle in which to talk about your stuff, where I used to write more from a teacher's mind because I've been a teacher for half of my adult life. And so it's just natural for me. But people don't necessarily want to be lectured at. And I'm great at teaching when people are in my world. But getting people to come into my world, teaching is not the way. I'm not a how-to girl. I am once you come into my world. But on the outskirts, what draws people into my world is about the emotional resonance that I can help them feel felt, seen, that they feel like they can feel and see me. And it's this exchange of these two things. Like, yeah, that's what I've been experiencing. I just didn't even realize I was experiencing it. It's kind of like one of those things that where you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's I didn't even realize it until you said it. Now it's like, yes, that's me. That's what I've been experiencing. And that's what my gift is. That's how I bring people in. And that's not everybody's. But there's a thing in human design that seems to be really interesting. That Jamie L. Palmer is the person that I studied under to get this. And I call it the Ideal Client HD report because she calls it the Ideal Client report. So I kept with a similar name to what it is. And she does this report and it's based off of her research and all the people who study under her, their research. It's how sometimes we have this strength, this one strength, and it shows up in our design. Because in human design, you have things that are defined or undefined. And defined means you broadcast it. You broadcast it out. You don't even try. It just happens. And then you have what's undefined. And where, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're broadcasting. Sometimes you're receiving. It's a little less controlled. And so this emotion center is the thing that I have that is defined, that I broadcast so effortlessly and so easily. And generally, people who come into my world don't have that. They either don't have it defined, or they feel like they've been living in the shadow of it, maybe having some conditioning. I mean, don't we all have conditioning to shed, right? Especially, when you get in your 50s, like me, I'm 54, and yeah, unintentional. Some things I conditioned myself unintentionally. And so what she found was, whatever the center is for you, generally people who are meant to be in your world, who already gravitate, that you enjoy working with, that you connect well with, don't have it. And so and that's what the system is. That's what the report is. And so anyway, if you're interested in something of that, it gives a different lens. And if you go back and you look at like old LinkedIn writing, I would have given you, here's the steps, or I would have lectured you on, here's why you need to do this. Don't do that. And if you look at a lot of my writing now, like sometimes there is a little bit of gentle, you can, here you do, but it's not so on point. Step one's this, step two's that. And that's how I used to do things. Now it's this emotional undertone that we're experiencing. And I talk a lot more about emotions and nervous system regulation, because it helps to regulate your emotional safety. And you'll see that my work has changed. How I talk about my work has changed. My inner mission is always the same. It's always been the same. The work that I'm doing with the clients, it evolves because I customize it to the clients, but it's still fundamentally the same. The only thing I did differently was how I started talking about it. And once I did that, opportunities started coming to me. And a lot of them weren't things that I ever thought to pursue. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. So I had a couple of like big projects come to me that they had some disclosure things, so I can't completely talk about it, but they were things that involved some research into human behavior and just some really cool things that are totally up my alley, like what perception is, and design wise how you put things together. And I'm afraid I'll say something that I'm not supposed to say, so I'm going to kind of cut it off here. But it was all about human behavior and why people might go and do something, and the research to back that up. Their behaviors. Anyway, I've been talking quite a bit because this is what happens. I get very excited, and so. Yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this whole 5-day series. I would love to know how it came out for you, what you got from it, or what you wished it was in there. Because, I have heard back from people. That's why these videos now exist. This is why I put this in here, because somebody said something. They told me something. And I was like, oh, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? And so I'm always evolving, because I mean, if you're not getting something out of this, then I'm not interested in doing it. That's as simple as that. All right. So hopefully I'll be seeing you. You can always email me. You can always DM me on LinkedIn. And I'll talk to you later.